All right, all right. If you guys are just tuning in today, I'm Jerry. I'm the owner over here at Wealth Dynamics. We do these courses every Friday. Every Friday night, I teach a course on money. We're talking taboo topics tonight, things that you would not normally address with your finances, things that you were told never to talk about, things that nobody ever addressed with you, things that were kept under the rug, things that were kept secret, things you feel like you should know about, but you don't feel comfortable asking. We're hitting all of that tonight. So drop those things in the comments. I'm going to answer them for you tonight best I can. So, first thing we're going to cover tonight. Okay, first thing we're going to cover tonight is the topic of debt. Okay, debt, D-E-B-T, debt. What is debt, right? Debt is when a person borrows money from somebody else because they don't have any. I said we're going to confront it. That's debt. I did not have money, therefore I had to use someone else's. Now, really quickly, we're not talking about real estate and leverage. Most of us watching are not doing that stuff. We weren't sophisticated when we got debt. I can't afford this car, let me borrow money for it. Or I can't afford this trip to Disney World for my kids, let me charge it up on my Alaska airline cards. Anchorage, I'm talking to you guys. Okay, that's the topic we're going over right now. Debt. What is debt? Debt is a credit, meaning that I didn't have something, I borrowed it from somebody else, and now I owe them. Okay, debt is something that I grew up with. My parents were in debt. My dad was in debt. My mom was in debt. We lost our house over debt. Like, debt is a thing that most of us struggle with, but I don't ever hear anyone talk about it. When we do, it's always like Dave Ramsey, like cut up your credit cards and never have debt again. Okay, but here's the issue with that. Okay, that doesn't educate me on what debt is. And just because I've cut up my credit cards doesn't mean that debt is gone. There's still tons of debt out there in the world. So if I don't figure out how to handle debt, I'm going to have a very hard life. I'm going to have a very hard life because I never actually figured out how to handle it. If I ever get in a situation with it again, I can't fight back. I can't do anything because my solution was just to get rid of it entirely. Right? So I have to think about that. So when we think debt, again, the times that I got in debt, if I think about my very first credit card that I ever got, it was because I was trying to get airlines points. To be quite honest with you guys, I was 18, 19 years old, just got married. Somebody that, and I'm about to write down another topic here, somebody that I listened to on the topic of finances told me how financially wise it was to get airlines points because you could save money on flights. And they told me about the buddy pass. If you get this credit card, you get a free first class flight every year if you spend so much money. So I did that. I was like, cool, I'm going to get that because that sounds smart. I ended up charging the credit card up, not being able to pay it off, and now I'm paying money towards my debt. Okay. If I have debt, that is something that I did to myself. No one ever told me that. No one ever told me when I borrow money, I did that to myself. I wasn't being picked on. Nobody put a gun to my head and made me do it. It's nobody's fault. And it essentially means that A, like I said, I borrowed money that I didn't have. And then B, I never had a plan to pay it back. Because if I did, it would have been paid back. So if I have debt like outstanding, it means that I still haven't ever come up with a plan to pay it back. I've been there. That's crazy. When I look back at that, I can think about credit cards, car loans, business loans, like things that I borrowed money for, never thinking about the definition of debt as someone else's money that I'm going to pay back to them with interest. How am I going to do that? How am I actually going to pay this off? Right? And again, like debt was a very big part of my childhood. My parents never sat down with me ever and talked about debt. Most of us never have that conversation, right? Think about it. Like, we get out of high school. If you went to college, immediately you're being offered debt. No one ever educated you like, hey, this is a student loan. This is how it works, right? But the thing is like right now, I think the average balance on an American's credit card right now is like 13 to 15 grand. By the way, where I'm from, Alaska, we lead the country per capita. Crazy, but we have the highest credit card debt per capita in the state of Alaska. No one talks about it. Like, you'll go to church, people swimming in debt. Okay, you'll go to work, the people that you think are killing it with finances, if you could see their balance sheet, they're swimming in debt. Right? And the idea is I can afford the payment, therefore it's okay. But here's the problem, guys. Debt is, again, something I did to myself, but it's also, if I flip this, it's an asset for the person that I owe. So I'm never going to get wealthy if I have the debt because that person is getting wealthy instead. They're getting wealthy at my expense. I am their asset. I am paying them the rate of return. I am giving them my income. Okay. So debt is one of those topics like everyone should confront. We need to face it because I would say 90% of us have it. 90% of us have it. We don't talk about it. We've got the credit cards charged up. We live in a house we can't afford. We have car payments like $400 or $500 a month. Saving zero, not by the way. We're not saving money, and nobody acts like it's a thing. Okay, so if you've ever had debt, like I want you to realize and confront what I had to realize and confront is A, I did that to myself. It's no one else's fault. B, I borrowed money because I didn't have money. That's actually the root problem, by the way. The solution to solving with debt is I need to fix that. I need to never be in a position again where I don't have money. C, I never had a plan to pay it back. Otherwise, I wouldn't still have the debt. Meaning that's like, for me anyways, my viewpoint, that is like a centimeter away from stealing, borrowing money that I have no idea how I'm going to pay back. I wouldn't want someone to do that to me, so I wouldn't do that with my debt. I'm not going to borrow money and not have an exit strategy, right? These are all levels of responsibility that are very low financially, and I've been there before, so I'm not saying you're wrong and you're this and you're that. I'm saying this is an American thing. Like we do this in this country, and it's normalized. No one addresses it, okay? So how do we handle debt? First thing, I have to solve the root issue, right? If I'm trying to handle debt, I have to actually get in a position where I am financially solvent. Meaning that when I pay off the debt, I'm not broke again. Okay, I used to be a Dave Ramsey guy, and I would tell people like snip up your credit cards, get $1,000 saved, and pay off all your debt. The problem is I would do that plan, and I would have no money saved because I was paying off all my debt. When I paid it off, something bad would happen. I'd have to go right back into debt because my car broke, or I had this come up, that come up, and I charged it back up on the credit cards. Right? So if I'm really trying to fix debt, I have to be solvent first. This is something we teach our clients that's very different. I have to get solvent, then go after the debt. Simple logic. Like you remember being a kid in the schoolyard and hearing, don't pick a fight with someone that's not your size. Okay, you are not Bank of America's size. Don't pick a fight with them right now. Like go get solvent, go work out. In other words, go to the gym, eat some protein shakes, get in a position where you can actually go pay off the debt and still be okay afterwards. Because a victory where I'm debt free but broke and about to go back in debt is not really a victory. Okay, so that's the solution. And prior to that solution, I have to be very, very honest with myself. Before I can solve the debt thing, I have to stop agreeing with it. Meaning I have to stop justifying why it's okay that I went in debt and making sense of it. Like, I'm going to be honest, if I went to college right now and I've got 40, and I didn't go to college, but if I did and I've got $40,000 in student loans and I'm not working a job in the field that I got my degree in, I'm looking at myself and saying, I was an idiot. That was a terrible financial decision. There's nothing that makes sense about that. It wasn't a good idea. I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't tell anyone else to do it. Like that's what I would have to admit before I could get out of the debt. Otherwise, I agree with it. Okay, like if I want to break this down, in order for somebody to have a financial problem, they have to actually construct the problem. All problems are comprised of two opposing sides. I've got one side over here going this way. I've got one side over here going this way, and the two things don't go in the same direction. That is a problem. I have the idea that I want to get out of debt, yet I'm still justifying and agreeing why I was in debt in the first place. I'm not going to make any progress. You see that? So I have to realize that. And then secondarily, I've actually got to take the action. And like communicating about this helps a lot. Communicating with other people like, hey, I'm paying off my debt right now. What are you doing? Like, here's my progress. Here's how I got it. Like, that's stuff we should talk about. If you're wondering, what does Wealth Dynamics do? How can we actually help you? Number one, if you haven't gotten a copy of my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom, grab one now. You can get that down in the comments in the video. You can get the link for that. Number two, we do a free course on Fridays on personal finance. Okay, you can also get the link for the description there too. And then finally, if you have a desire to start getting help walking through these different phases toward financial freedom, book a call with my team. Go to our website, set up a call. We're able to help out and answer questions. That's how we can help you. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you turn notifications on, and I will talk to you guys on the next video.